When you want to do the mix session for your course, you want to create a template and then import your tracks into it. To create a template, because you are going to be mixing using Dolby Atmos, you want to have a session in 48 kilohertz. The bit depth should be the maximum that you can achieve. The rest of the setting you can be standard. For the moment I'm saving this on my desktop because it's going to be just my template that I can reuse later on. The basic logic here will be this: Command Shift N, or you can go into track and new, and we create 5 mono audio tracks. All these tracks need to go into a submix called the mix bus, and we create doing Command Shift N another track, and normally we will do a stereo auxiliary track and we will call it our mix bus. But for our purposes, since we need to work in Dolby Atmos, we don't want a stereo track. We want a track that is compatible with Dolby Atmos, which is the 7.1.4 auxiliary input mix bus, and you can then create. To go into this particular mix bus with 12 channels, we don't have any bus available, so we need to go create them on any digital bus. So we know that under setup IO you have different tabs that you need to deal with. The first one is the renderer. For the renderer, you see that you have two options, the internal or the external, and for the sake of this course we need to do the internal renderer, and we activate it by clicking this. Once you create this Dolby render, then you can adjust the rest. You work like this in Dolby and select the whole thing, and then you do default. Okay, so once you created the renderer this way, you go into the output tab, select what's going on there, delete, and then choose here the default format is 7.1.4, which is the one for Dolby, and the path order you want to use the Dolby, and you press default. So all your internal outputs are designed to go inside the Dolby renderer. And then the buses, we have buses, but obviously we need again here make a little clearance a little bit and go by default. And of course you have a main bus of 10 channels because that will be the speaker routing, and then all the other are objects or stereo buses. But one new path you need to build, which will be a 7.1.4 path, and that is our Dolby mix bus. Pressing OK. If I go back to my auxiliary track that I created, looking at the input, I click and I see now the bus available, and I can set it on that channel. Then the output of the auxiliary track has to go to the main, which is basically the classic bed 7.1.4 of Dolby Atmos. If you don't remember, you just go into setup IO and you will see that the output is called main. I could have called it output, but it's actually these speakers, and where you see this icon of the speaker attached, that means it's the monitor path, basically what you can hear. Now that we set up the auxiliary to receive on this digital bus and to send out through the main, all the rest of the track should be routed to that Dolby bus. So I select them all by clicking on the first track and then shift clicking on the bottom one. If you need to unselect, you command click on a track. If you need to select again, just click on it and then shift click to select them all. Then I want to apply the same command to all of these tracks. And normally you can do option and then click and give the command. But if I do option, all the tracks will receive my command for the output settings. But I don't want it because I don't want the auxiliary track to be involved. So once these are all selected except this one, I can option and shift click, which means apply the command to all the one selected. And for this one I will go and I'm not going to send it directly to the speakers, and so I'm going to assign it then all to a bus, which is the Dolby Mix bus. So now all the tracks are going out and into the Dolby Mix bus, which is received by the auxiliary, and the auxiliary then deliver the sound to the bed, which is the design pathway for Dolby to deliver his surround sound. So once you have this, then you have the following situation. To demonstrate to you, I'm gonna add an insert on this track, a plugin called the signal generator, and as you can see, it's playing the sound, and the sound is going here in the auxiliary. The signal flow in this way is working, and it allows us to have control of what's going on in the audio track individually, to have a submix there, and then the most crucial thing is also to add another track, 7.1.4 track, and not the auxiliary input, not an audio track, but a master track. And what's the purpose of this track is to have a control on what's going into the Dolby Mix bus. After we've done that, then this is the basic setup that you want to have. You can use the spatialization of Dolby, so you can basically set up the source as you like it, and we have learned other stuff like to use the objects, so the beds in Dolby Atmos, just to have a clear idea. But this is the basic setup of signal flow, where all the audio tracks are going into an auxiliary, and the auxiliary input is monitored by a master fader in Pro Tools.